Talk about Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings. Last season, the Minnesota Vikings made a playoff appearance, and for the majority of the season, they were coasting along. Their offense was putting up good numbers, but their defense was the Achilles heel and it held them back. And it exposed them in the first playoff game against the New York Giants. That was their only playoff game because they went up going one and done. The Minnesota Vikings have made some good moves this offseason, but the latest move is moving on from Dalvin Cook. They're either going to release him or going to try to trade him. As I record this video, he is still technically around on the roster, but they're going to try to work out a way to trade. If they cannot come down to trading him, they're going to just go on and release him and just let him go into free agency. I don't have a problem with that. Dalvin Cook is an excellent running back. He's really good. He gives his team good production, but he does miss games and he has a bit of an injury history. And the Minnesota Vikings are trying to save some money because soon you're going to have to pay guys like TJ Hockenson. You're going to have to pay guys like Justin Jefferson. So moving on from Dalvin Cook, it's just price of doing business. I believe Alexander Mattison can come in and give you similar production. May not be the same production as Dalvin Cook, but he's going to be fine. He's not going to be going up against the stacked boxes because teams are very aware of how explosive this Minnesota Vikings team is. So I don't want people to overreact and say they're trading Dalvin Cook. This is horrible. What is this team doing? Or they're releasing Dalvin Cook. Why are they doing this? It's to save money, and he plays a running back position that is pretty much the most replaceable position in the NFL. Now, the bad parts about this team is long-term, the quarterback position with Kirk Cousins. But I want to start off with the defense first. This defense last season was terrible. It was one of the worst defensive units in all of football, led by Coach Ed, that was a former defensive coordinator. You fired him. Now you bring in Brian Flores, who was a really good and brilliant defensive mind. The biggest thing with Brian Flores is this. He can only do so much with the talent that you give him. He was extremely good with the New England Patriots when he was a defensive play caller. He was extremely good as the Miami Dolphins head coach when it came to the defensive plays on that side of the ball. When you look at this Minnesota Vikings team, this defense on paper is worse for this upcoming season than it was for last season. You lost Patrick Peterson. He was a good veteran corner. Did he take a step back? Yes, he did, but he was still a very good corner having the team. You no longer have him. You did replace him with Byron Murphy, a corner from the Arizona Cardinals. He's really good, really young, still needs a lot of development. Hopefully, Brian Flores can bring the best out of him. I expect for him to do big things with this team. But if you were able to keep Patrick Peterson and have him on the other side, that would have been very good. But he's no longer with this team. You also released Eric Kendricks. He was a very good linebacker for you. He's no longer on this team. You bring in Jordan Hicks. He's a good linebacker, but he's not a world changer at the linebacker position. You need guys that can come in and give you good production on the defense. They let Darius Smith go to the Cleveland Browns. Now, that was just a point of doing business as well. He had problems with this team internally, and it was a whole bunch of situations with him. He wanted a contract extension. Then he just had problems with the team. So he traded to the Cleveland Browns. You got some picks. You did the right thing. But you're losing a premier pass rusher. He was a good sack producer for you alongside Danielle Hunter. And there's also rumors about Danielle Hunter. Does he want to stay with the team or does he want to go? Danielle Hunter last season had 10.5 sacks and 1 forced fumble. And he wants a contract extension. And he's an extremely good pass rusher and he is still young. So the Vikings find themselves in a bad position for the simple fact they're trying to rebuild this defense and get the older players out and bring some new guys in that fits the Brian Flores system. But at the same time, your offense is ready to win games now. And they have good defensive pieces. I still like Harrison Smith, even though he is a bit long in the tooth. He's still a good corner. Andrew Booth can develop into being a very good corner for this team. I like his upside. I like his talent a lot. I like Harrison Phillips. Isn't a high sack production guy, but he's going to go in there and be a big body that can stop the run. So you have good pieces on this team. It's just overall, I am very worried about this team. And Lewis Cine could be a good safety for you. He missed a lot of games last season. So he needs to come in and make an immediate impact as well. So this defense is going to need a lot of work, but I believe they're in good hands with Brian Flores, but it's going to take some time. Now, on the offensive side of things, I already talked about the moving on from Dalvin Cook. Alexander Mattison is going to come in. I believe that he's going to be a very good running back for this team. With the games that Dalvin Cook missed, he came in. He was a very good suitable replacement. The problem with the Vikings offense, it is Kirk Cousins. Now, Kirk Cousins was not the biggest reason that this team lost football games. He was not. The defense could not stop a nosebleed. The biggest problem with Kirk Cousins is this. When they go against the top elite defenses and when you have a good pass rush, that's when Kirk Cousins disappears. Look at the Dallas Cowboys game. They couldn't even score a touchdown in that game. They rarely got past the 50. And I understand Kirk Cousins hasn't been in an amazing situation with how bad the defense has been, and the offensive line over the last couple of years has been up and down. But Christian Darrisaw is a very good tackle to have on this team. He has good weapons around him. Kirk Cousins is not a transcendent quarterback talent. He's a guy that can get you to a certain point. Then after that, that's when the wheels fall off. I believe that Kirk Cousins is good with being with this team for now, but long term, it's not going to happen. They're going to have to bring in a brand new signal caller that can come in and replace Kirk Cousins. I'm not saying rush Kirk Cousins out of the door, because he can definitely get you to the playoffs. That what happened last year. This team made the playoffs basically off their offense alone and off the production of Kirk Cousins. 29 touchdowns to 14 interceptions, and he was 4th in passing yards in the NFL. So he's a talented quarterback. He's just not over the top, and that's what the Minnesota Vikings need. With these weapons around Kirk Cousins, I still expect for them to be one of the better offenses in the NFL. Justin Jefferson, need I say anything else about this kid? His name alone, he's one of the best wide receivers in the game, if not the best wide receiver in the game. You drafted Jordan Addison to be the number 2 to number 3 wide receiver for this team from USC. I really love his game. He's going to be a nice number 2 to this team. You moved off to Adam Thielen. That was a perfect move for this team. Adam Thielen was good when he had Stephon Diggs alongside him, but you could see on film he was not the same Adam Thielen, and he was a step slower, and he could not separate the same. So letting Jordan Addison come in and letting him get those single coverage, because you know guys are going to still double cover Justin Jefferson. That's going to help out his production. It's going to also help out KJ Osborne as well. Do not sleep on him. 650 receiving yards last season and 5 touchdowns. And he also traded for TJ Hockenson last season. And TJ Hockenson was extremely good for this team. 914 receiving yards. So he came in and made some big plays for Kirk Cousins and this offense, and he had 6 receiving touchdowns. He was a very good replacement for Irv Smith, who couldn't stay healthy and could not put up production with this team. So I like the moves that they've made for the most part. It's just your defense is still not good. In my opinion, you have a good defensive coordinator. The talent needs to come up and step up to help this team out. I believe that their offense can score points on almost any defense in the NFL when Kirk Cousins is red hot. I believe that the run game will still stay the same with this team, because teams are not just going to load up the box to stop Alexander Madison. That's no disrespect to him. Teams rarely load the box when they had Dalvin Cook on their team, for the simple fact that you have Justin Jefferson out there and you had TJ Hockenson. So imagine how the defensive looks are going to be now for this team. I still expect for this team to be one of the teams in their division, to try to win it and go out and be a top team in their division. The Green Bay Packers are going through a change right now with Jordan Love starting his first season for next season. The Chicago Bears made a lot of good moves. They're still rebuilding. And the Detroit Lions seem like they're the team to beat in that division. But the Minnesota Vikings can get them. I understand they struggled against them last season, but they still can get them. I have a lot of faith in Kevin O'Connell as the head coach and him being the main offensive play caller. So I think the Minnesota Vikings are in a rough spot because of their defense alone, but I like the pieces that they have. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you feel about the Minnesota Vikings? In my opinion, this is a team that's going to go one and done in the playoffs or completely miss the playoffs, because Kirk Cousins is not the guy that can get you over the hump. But I would not be surprised they did make the NFL playoffs at the same time. So let me know how you feel about Kirk Cousins in the comment section below, how you feel about the Minnesota Vikings. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one, guys, stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Peace.